Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. So I have 5 of these black button-up shirts that my boyfriend was getting rid of, and since they fit me, I wanted to decorate them. Maybe not all 5, but there are some ideas brewing. One of the ideas was the sparkly jumpsuit Sam Ryder wore during his performance of Spaceman at Eurovision 2022. I love this suit and am a casual enjoyer of space aesthetics, so this was the perfect project idea for this Eurovision season. I didn't want to do the full costume, so I'm focusing on the top only, and I will most likely wear this shirt unbuttoned with sleeves rolled up. While it wouldn't matter to me to get it entirely accurate, I was hoping to get as close as possible as I loved every single element of this design. Okay, so the main advantage of this project is I don't have pants to worry about. And since I always wear these kinds of shirts with my sleeves up, I kind of marked where I normally roll my sleeves up, and that means that I don't have to do anything about this. I think the original design actually goes down a little bit more down to the forearm, but that means I will make sure the design ends here. I will probably just remove this pocket to get the full design onto the shirt. The center is actually just black, so I'll just leave these buttons on. The back will be a lot of work, full with little pearls, but should be the easiest to design. It only has this big sun on the background. I'm gonna zigzag all the lines with the Taylor Swift quilt. I saw that my machine can take that, so that's very nice. I will definitely strengthen it with some interfacing to kind of also stabilize the fabric. The main question is, how much do I want to unpick this shirt to work with? I think obviously I have to do the sleeves to get the flat surface. Not looking forward to unpicking because it's all flat felt seams. I mean, which I personally really like while making my own clothing. But I wonder if it's actually necessary to loosen the front and the back. But it would obviously be nice if I could just unpick and get the entire pattern piece to really work on the design. Though at the same time, if you look at the original design, the design doesn't go all the way to the seams. There's a lot of negative space left, which is very nice. So let's see what I can do. So I picked the side seams and the sleeves and traced them onto pattern paper, where I would start drawing the design. I was doubting between the size of all the squares. I started with 3/4, but it felt small, and after some sampling I went for 1 inch as the size. While looking at all the references, I was able to freehand the majority of the designs. Even better, while I was working on this project, the British Music Experience actually started displaying the suit, so seeing close-up photos was very helpful for getting all the elements right. I was mostly surprised to see pockets on the jumpsuit embroidered over, which I specifically removed. I counted all the beads I would need for these sections by leathering the centers and the crossings. I also stopped counting after that. I was really in the flow working on this project, so I don't really have an estimation how much I used at the end. After I got the designs, I used transfer paper to transfer the lines onto the t-shirt, which I then traced again with my chalk pencil to make them even clearer, as it was important to see these lines under the sewing machine foot. For all the stars and curves, I used the free motion foot and zigzagged over the drawn lines. It was a little tricky to get the curves even, but especially from a distance, it's alright. For the squares, I could just use the regular foot and let the machine move itself. Last year I had this phase where I watched a lot of free motion zigzag embroidery videos, so knowing all the white lines were done the same way gave me the perfect opportunity to try it out myself. While my machine can't do the fancy width increase and decrease during sewing, like these specialized zigzag machines can, I was quite satisfied with the zigzag capabilities of my machine. Something I definitely should have checked was if the design lined up on both sides, and guess what? It didn't. I could already sense the two sides were not fully symmetrical, but I didn't think to check if I transferred the design properly. But like I said, I'll wear this shirt unbuttoned, so it will be less noticeable. I obviously needed a lot of beads. I ordered the pearls as soon as I had a rough count of the squares, and I just browsed my own stash and craft stores nearby for any shiny white beads. I knew I needed some more specific beads, but I had enough to get me through the first few days. There was some experimentation needed, like if I was keeping the stabilizer on while beading, whether I wanted to use the black or white thread, etc. I decided to take off all the stabilizer and do all the pearls with black threads. I went through them twice to make sure they're tightly secured. This was repetitive as I had a lot of surface to cover, but a good start as I felt a little intimidated by the rest of the embroidery designs. I liked testing and comparing different options and chose the rocailles as a stopper for sequins, but honestly later on I used different beads to get different looks. Little by little, and looking at the reference photos, I started filling up all the designs. It was so tedious, but very meditating, honestly. Now that I had a better idea of the design, I ordered some more beads to vary in textures. For all the beads that were not in the little squares, going through them once was enough most of the times. My third wave of ordering beads were mainly rhinestones. Sew-on rhinestones are much more expensive compared to hotfix or non-hotfix rhinestones, but I really wanted to have this project be sewing only. I also found 2 patches of cute mice that I couldn't resist. So this is a good moment to remind you that the original design was done by Luke Day, and the original is embroidered by Jenny King and her team, who've done an incredible job on this look, and as you can see, I love every single detail of it. Luke Day got inspiration from Ziggy Stardust, Freddie Mercury, Elton John, and obviously Sam Ryder's love for space. I've seen pearly kings and queens brought up in reactions from fans as well. Jenny King worked on the suit for 210 hours, featuring 15k beads. This is kind of information that's featured in all the interviews and descriptions, which was helpful to get an idea of the work that went into this costume. But I must say, just working on it myself really just showed me the amount of detailed work necessary to get something so beautiful. So I had this small dilemma when it came to the sleeves. The original had 12 shining beads around the stars, but doing the same would have felt very cramped. I decided to go for 6 instead to balance the complete look. I used wonder tape to keep the rhinestones in their place temporarily. I was slowly running out of beads, so I used the huge rhinestones to fill up some space in the few stars as well, especially since I had a lot of them left over. They are very shiny, so I wouldn't be surprised if my eyesight got worse over the course of this project. So it has been a little over 2 weeks since I started this project, and I'm almost done relatively. My two biggest challenges is making sure I have enough beads. Obviously I have enough beads, but I am running out of the bigger ones. I'm not sure if I can stretch them well enough to make sure I can fill all the open spaces, because that's pretty much the only spaces I have to fill. So last night I started on this planet. It's looking nice, so at least I feel like I will definitely have enough for the 2 planets. Still have to do this one. And on the back we have the big sun. I have a lot of rhinestones, so at least I can also use that to fill things up. I also have the 2 stars on the sleeves, and my biggest worry currently is filling the color. I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it, but I am off today and tomorrow. I'm just gonna try to get as much done today and hopefully finish tomorrow. I don't think I can do it in one day. Yesterday was very tiring, even though I had the whole day off. My motivation is slowly decreasing as I'm looking forward to my next project, but I'm almost there. A little bit more work. The second worry is having to attach everything back together. Flat felt seams were used, but I'm still figuring out what the way of folding is. It really looks like they kind of like hooked the fabric together, so I have to kind of look at how I'm gonna stitch things back together with right sides, wrong sides together. But you know what? Once I'm done with the beading, stitching it all back together is pretty much the easiest step, if I can get myself to understand how it all works. So at this point, I'm using all the beads I have left to fill in all the open spaces, trying to vary as much as possible between different beads, pearls and sizes. As I was low on the bigger beads, I tried my best to scatter them across the collar. I was hoping to fill the rest of the space with leftover beads, but it was starting to feel unbalanced, so I caved in and bought more pearls to have different sizes again. I don't really have more to say about this process, but I got a lot of satisfying beading footage and a big time lapse for the colors, so I'll just leave you here for now. So Sam had a sunflower patch made to show his support to Ukraine, which he attached to his guitar strap. And with this year's Eurovision being hosted in the UK for Ukraine, I really want to give a nod to this unity and support too. I got these sunflower buttons and sewed them onto the collar. I got both silver and gold buttons to see which ones I liked best. Silver would have obviously blended more with the shirt, but gold does represent the symbolism much better. The buttons are too big to go through the buttonhole, so I pretty much sewed the collar down onto the shirt. For reassembling the shirt, I found some videos on double flat felt seams. It's tough, I did not like doing this, but Wonder tape has helped me a lot in this step. I taped the right sides together, leaving a bit of allowance to tuck it in later, then folded the fabric and pinned it to keep it in place. Then opened the two sides of fabric and sewed each edge down. It's hard to see exactly what I'm doing as it's black fabric, but I'm not a teacher either, so there are better videos out there to that explains this step. For the sleeves, I used my free motion foot because going the normal way would have been too hard. Seams aren't very pretty, but at least I understood the method they used to make the shirt. Setting in the sleeves, I kind of faux French seamed it. It was quite a disaster, but trust me, they're back on, and surprisingly, this is one of the only projects that have its raw edges finished. So I was finally done with the shirt, and it's very heavy, so I weighted it, and it's quite an increase. If it wasn't for the shirt that I already owned, it would have been so much better to get a sturdier jacket, because I do feel like the weight of the beads pulled down the shirt just a little. Honestly, can't really complain because I do really love the result. Alright, so that was finally my spaceman shirt, and I'm very proud of it. It's so shiny, it's incredible, I love it. So it's definitely quite heavy, but my body does carry kind of the weight of the beads, so that's alright, I guess. I really wanted to style it with this shirt, one of my favorites, but this thing is so out there and shiny that it really only works when you're wearing all black. So I could style it with a pearly headband. Thought that was quite fitting. But yeah, I'll probably be wearing this to the Embroidery Song Festival feest in the Netherlands in November. Crossing my fingers for Spaceman performance and maybe also several artists from last year. That was quite a packed year, and I really have FOMO when it comes to that evening. But otherwise, I don't have really Eurovision parties to go to. So this was really just like a fun project as well, but also for November. I like to go into Eurovision unspoiled, so I don't know much about the songs. I do know a little bit about all the opinions and stories around them, like the Dutch team has been very criticized in the Netherlands, so they have a lot on their plate. My boyfriend, who has listened to a few of the songs, predicts that I will really like Who the Hell is Edgard, because it's one of those quirky songs. And of course, Finland has a huge chance, the one with the green bolero, and he seems to be a pretty fun guy, so I'm very curious about his song. So I'm very looking forward to next week to enjoy all the performances. So thank you for watching. I can always appreciate likes on my videos, and I guess subscribe to see me do Chanel's slow-mo suit next. I'm joking, I don't want to do that, but who knows.